Hey guys, it's Tammy here. Well, today I have an opportunity to be a part of a collaboration that Katy from Heritage Ways is bringing out to us all, and it's called Savor the Scraps. In this collaboration, there's several other ladies who have been already doing a Savoring with Scraps video and downloading it on Saturday mornings or Saturday. And there's been several throughout this whole thing, but this week, me and a couple other ladies, as well as Katy herself, are going to do videos again. So this week, it's going to be me, it's going to be Katy from Heritage Ways, and it's going to be Flip Flop Barnyard, I don't want to say nothing wrong, and it's going to be our Supper Stories. Those are the 4 actually channels that's going to be a part of this week's Savor the Scraps. I will be putting their links at the bottom, and also a playlist that Katy has gotten started for us to be able to keep all these things together, because this collaboration is about helping us all see ways that we can savor our scraps that we get through this time that things are kind of a little bit more wondering of how things are going to be. It just pays to be wise and try to do things that savor the scraps. So today I got a couple things I want to show you, a few things actually, and I want to try to get on with it. This one here, which I just emptied about 3 weeks ago, so it's empty right now, but if you'll see on that, it says Bone Broth Scraps. That is something that I got from Mary at Mary's Nest. She takes a gallon bag and she puts it in a container, and she has a lid as well for this. And anytime she peels like onions, carrots, scraps from celery, those 3 particular is what I like to add to this. She puts it in her bag and puts it in her freezer, and then when she goes to make bone broth, she's got all these scraps because there's so much vitamins and minerals and stuff in the skin of your carrots and the tips, as well as the skin of your onions and your celery stalks and different things like that that you wouldn't normally just eat, put in here. She does recommend, by the way, not to put garlic in this, and I agree with her on that. I do not suggest that just because the flavor is different whenever it comes to doing that. But that is something great to do with a bone broth. And I also do my chicken like this. Whenever I do whole chickens, I save the bones and I put them in a container like this as well and put them in the freezer. And when I get about 3 is what mine takes. And I think that's what she said on her video. I'll try to remember to put a link to that. But it's Mary's Nest. I put the bones and stuff to my chickens in one of these too. And usually when I get 3, that's about the right size for my crock pot, because I generally do it through a crock pot. And if you'll Google that, if I forget to put it on there, or in the search engine, bone broth in the crock pot, Mary's Nest, you'll find it for sure. But anyway, I'll try to remember to put it on there. So this is not my idea, but it's an idea that I absolutely love, 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 love. Anyway, let's get on with this. Katy wanted us to also, in this collaboration, try to really express hope for people's lives. And because a lot of people are having rougher times than other folks are, and even just the worry and the stress of it, even if things are going pretty good for you, sometimes it just really wears on you. You worry about different things. You don't think about some people, with medications and stuff like that. People worry about those things, and I understand that they do. But through that, she wanted us to bring hope. And I got to thinking about these. There's been different people in the collaboration do different things, and we know how we take lemon and we can use it in so many different ways. And I'm sure you know of a lot of different ways that you've already seen even in this collaboration. But this is the lemon hull. This is after I have taken the rind off. I've already took the rind off with a grater. And then it's just the hull. There's nothing else there. Just that. And you think, well, what in the world are you going to do with that thing? That's really practical. This ain't one of them things where you go and you scrub your pan with it or nothing like that. What I like to do with these, and this is how the hope comes in. If anybody knows, a butterfly stands for hope. In the Christian world as well as in the secular world itself. But it also stands for resurrection. It stands for life. It stands for change, which God knows we've all gone through change with all this. And that's why I wanted to present these lemons to you. I like to take these lemons, and as you see, I've got them in a freezer bag. I keep them in the freezer. You'll even see some froze on it. And in the summer, in my bird baths and different places, I stick a couple of these in my bird baths. And what that does, if you didn't know, butterflies love lemon. They love citrus, period. So you could do this with orange and stuff too, or lime or whatever. And I stick them in my bird bath around the edges so they don't get, all the way in the water or whatever. And it'll draw the butterflies for you. So I love this idea. I absolutely love it. I guess you can tell because I take the time to freeze that. So that is something just to give you a little hope. When you sit and watch a butterfly do its daily thing that it does, there's just a joy, a peace, and a comfort that you feel when you watch those things, seeing how creation just does its job. So I wanted to really bring that forth to you and hope that you receive that in the heart that it is given. So with that, I'll leave that because I want to get on with this. But look at here. This is a bunch of bananas. See that? Tell you what I do. And look at these 2 apples here. These are actually 2 different apples. If you look at the stamps, you can tell they're just 2 different apples. Well, these apples actually came in a 4-pack. And what these are, and what these bananas are, is I go to the clearance part of my produce section, and I pick these things up. The other day, I was so blessed. I got 5 avocados, and they were wrapped in cellophane in one of these type of things. And I thought, because, avocado is one of them things that sometimes it might not be too bad on the outside, but then when you open it, it's another story. Well, I took my chances. It was 5 avocados for $1.25. I thought, oh my gosh. If it's $1.25 and one of them's good, I'm doing halfway decent. So I got them, and lo and behold, if every one of them wasn't decent enough for me to get. And if you haven't already heard or seen, I like to take my avocado, cut them up, and I got my avocado out. I take these, I cut them up, take them out, cut them up. I put some garlic powder in them and lemon juice. Lemon juice is a must if you don't do nothing else. And mash them up good, and I stick them in muffin tins. And I put them in the freezer. You can nuke that on your butter melting section on your microwave for the limited amount. It takes like 30 seconds generally on mine. And this is perfect avocado right there. And you can do whatever with it. Make guacamole, just however you want to go with it. Anyway, let me get on with this. I don't want to mess you up. The same with the apples and the same with bananas. I cut them up, I freeze them, and then I put them in the bag. It's better if you freeze them on a cookie sheet first because they won't stick together as bad, but they will. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take this apple, I'm going to take these bananas, and I'm going to take this. Now, this is another savor your scraps moment. A lot of times I drink my pineapple juice straight whenever I open a can of pineapples. But there's umpteen different things you can do with pineapple juice. You can add it in a cake mix. You can add it in a smoothie type thing like we're fixing to make here. You can add it in any number of things. Pineapple juice is really good for your gut. It's very good for your digestion. So I suggest to savor every bit of this and not let it go down the sink. And just come up with all kinds of different things you can put that in, guys. So let's get started with this smoothie. Okay, guys, my apples taste really good, by the way. I have put about a handful of my bananas in here. I put half of my apple, and you can also save these peelings and put them in the freezer just like I did the bananas and stuff. And if you don't have enough to make your vinegars and different things like that you want to make, until it builds up enough for you to use. And you can also coat those with a little bit of lemon juice if you'd like to keep them from turning. But anyway, and then I added a little bit of the juice. I didn't add all of it. Just depends on how much you're making. I added some almond milk, and I added some milk kefir. You'd be surprised that milk kefir will really be good in this. Then I'm going to simply use my, oh, a lot of you may not know this, but this is a Proctor seal blender, and mason jars fit on it, so that's awesome. You might have a little bit of leakage, but it still works really good. So let's get this mixed up. Okay, see, I got a little bit of leakage, all that, but still, considering, it's an awesome way to do it. All right, and there's my smoothie. Frugal way of doing it. There's all kinds of goodies in this for you. So there you go, guys. Don't forget to check out the channels that I put in the link below, as well as the playlist, and get some other great ideas. I thank Katy for coming up with this, because this is a great idea. And I encourage you to stay in hope and look for some butterflies. God bless. Okay, guys, now it's time to talk about another Remember When. I thought we'd talk about today spankings. I can remember 2 times at school getting in trouble. One time I actually got spanked. One of them was I was in the 5th or 6th grade, I think. And, no. Yeah, probably. Anyway, around in there. And, little bitty teacher, she wasn't this tall, she wasn't 4 foot tall, little bitty scrawny thing, but boy, she was feisty. I got in trouble for talking, and if I ever got in trouble, 9 times out of 10 it was talking. And so she sent me out in the hall, as they called it, and we had group teachers, so her group teacher was Mr. Ken, which was a big old Goliath guy. And he was super soft-spoken and all that kind of good stuff, so they kind of balanced each other out. Well, I was worried that she was going to have Mr. Ken paddle me because, whoa. And she didn't. She decided she was going to paddle me herself. Well, that little woman, when she paddled me, her feet came up off the ground. She was swinging so hard. Stung like a bee now, I'm telling you. And I thought to myself, I'd been better off if Mr. Ken had paddled me as her, because he probably would have been more gentle just knowing he's a big guy. That was one time. And another time, we were having, it was either a tornado, I think it was a tornado drill. And everybody was supposed to push up their chairs and go to their location where we were supposed to go. Well, after the tornado drill was over, the teacher pointed out different places where people sat that didn't push their chair up. And I think there was about 5 of us. And I was the one that didn't get my chair pushed up good. So he told us all to get out in the hall. So we all get out in the hall, and this was Mr. Charles. And his help teacher was Mr. Lynn. And actually, Mr. Lynn was the original owner of Charlie and Ginger out there. I bought them off of him whenever they were babies, firstborn. Anyway, so we all go out there, and we lined up against the wall. And we was all scared to death. And I could just feel myself just tightening up. And because I've not really had a whooping before except for that one. And that one at school, that is. And so we all line up, and he comes up behind us, and he raises his foot up, and he hits the bottom of his foot to each person. And so in there in the classroom, everybody's thinking, oh my gosh, he's beating the far out of them. So he told us before we went in there, he says, now when you go in there, act like you really got a bad spanking. So here we go in there, but he finally let the cat out of the bag. But he was such a super teacher. I appreciated him a great deal. And talking about whippings at home, Daddy was the one, he would, if it was instantaneously, like if we was out working in the fields or whatever, and we got in trouble for something, usually it was a knock in the head with his knuckles. It was a so 9 times out of 10, that's what Daddy did, but that hurt bad. But if we were out somewhere and we got in trouble, going to feed stores or whatever, we got in trouble for something, he'd tell us, when you get home, you're going to get your tail busted. Well, Daddy wasn't the one to lighten his load after he'd been gone out in town for an hour or 2. When you got home, you was getting your tail busted, and it was going to be a real tail busting. And then it was usually with a belt, and later on he made a paddle that he paddled us with. So you didn't forget that whenever Daddy, you were scared that whole time you were out, dreading going home, because you knew you were going to get your tail busted when you got home. It wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You were. Mama was a switch person and a fly swat person. And I remember one time in particular, I think I was in kindergarten, first grade. I was young. And we had a fence and then the road and then my neighbor's house, which had a tire swing. And we were the same age, so he would sit on his tire swing and I'd sit on my fence and we'd talk to each other. Well, every now and then I'd get brave enough to go over there and get on his swing so we could push each other on the swing. Well, Mama caught me over there. I remember twice this happening. I didn't learn the first time. And her making me get a switch. We had a chestnut tree right there in the front yard, and she'd make me get a switch off that tree, and she would bust my tail right there in front of my friend. So I did get my share of butt bustings, and that's nowhere near how many I got, but I've got plenty. Not at school, but at home, I got plenty. Anyway, God bless you guys. I appreciate you guys a great deal. I hope everybody's doing well. And I will see you next time.